The following is the Fatal 4-Way Podcast, and it is scheduled for one fall.
Welcome in, everybody, to the Fatal 4-Way. It's Survivor Series, it's War Games this weekend, so of course we will be having our War Games predictions. We also obviously have Monday Night Raw tonight, so we will preview a little bit of what's going on there. Let's start it off, though, and get straight into the War Games matches. And, you know, this is a weird pay-per-view. As of right now, there are only 3 matches officially on this War Games pay-per-view card. So, what do we think about that? Why do we like that it's this short and only 3 matches, potentially going to add 1 extra, or do we wish there were a few more matches on this card?
I think it could be seen as a good thing if the 2 War Games matches respectively get a lot of time to really develop. I think that's one thing I talked about a little last week. War Games matches lack a little bit of suspense, but I think by giving them more time and drawing it out, having some more near falls, we can make it more exciting and make it feel more back and forth. So maybe only having 3 matches with War Games on the card is a good decision and design by Triple H.
I also agree, that it may necessarily not be the worst thing, especially since your men's War Game match we've been leading to it pretty much since WrestleMania happened, with the OG Bloodline and the new Bloodline. It just feels like a big enough story to where it can take a big chunk of that pay-per-view. But it is a little strange seeing only 3. It does seem like they could sneak a couple other in there, but I guess they're saving some of those for the Saturday main event on December 14th, which I guess is the next. That's technically not a pay-per-view, but the next show.
Yes. I think like last year's men's War Games match was a 5-on-5 match, and the Randy return happened, and then the match was over within 5 minutes. Like, he came in, clean house, they hit the RKO on JD McDonough from the top of the cage, and it was over. And it was great. Randy returned. Everyone's happy. CM Punk came back after. But I feel like the bag was fumbled there a little bit in terms of what the match itself could have been. So I'm not going to complain about having the time available for these to really develop and get nasty.
Yeah, I agree. I think 3 matches is a little weird. I'd be surprised if they didn't add 1 more. And we've seen in recent memory that, especially in this Triple H era, that they're subject to add 1 last-minute match to a PLE, so I could definitely see that, but we know that's not going to be the WWE title because they already confirmed Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens for Saturday night main event. Maybe a women's match, maybe an IC title match. Braun Breaker, Sheamus, Ludwig Kaiser kind of have a program going on, so it'll be interesting to see if something tonight on Monday Night Raw gets scheduled for this show, but I do agree from the standpoint that these War Games matches should be getting at minimum like 70% of the time on the main card, especially given the fact that it's not an elimination style thing. So, again, more near falls and close calls in that regard could definitely help out. But regardless, I trust Triple H and kind of his structuring of these PLEs to make it work.
Yeah, and I mean, pay-per-views or premium live events, are typically around 3 hours. So if we only have 3 matches, it's going to be on average 3 or an hour per match, but I'm assuming these War Game matches will just be very long. All right, let's jump into the predictions now. First War Games match we'll talk about here probably might be the main event, the men's War Game match between the OG Bloodline and the new Bloodline. Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and the original Paul Heyman guy, CM Punk, versus Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, Jacob Fatu, and Big Bronson Reed. Who's winning this match?
Oh, I don't know. I think my heart wants to say that, Roman and Sammy and the Usos and CM Punk are going to get it done. But I just don't know. I have this feeling, and I can't even explain it, that there's going to be something going on with the new Bloodline that we don't even know yet, but I don't know. Maybe The Rock might come out. That might be a little crazy to say as of right now. He might wait a little longer until WrestleMania comes closer to make his return. But I don't know. I just feel in my bones that the OG Bloodline's not going to get it done.
I am also going to take the OG Bloodline, or the new Bloodline plus Bronson Reed in this one, and let me tell you why. I think we are going to see a run-in. I don't think it's going to be The Rock. I think it's going to be Seth Rollins. And obviously Bronson Reed is in the match, and Seth and Bronson have had their issues for so long now, and it's going to seem like Seth is there to take out Bronson. I think somehow the new Bloodline will get the upper hand by doing something dirty. Maybe someone will get locked out of the cage or something, and Seth will come out like he's going to even the odds. But no, he's not going after Brunson.
Oh,
he's going after
this.
CM Punk. And this is how we start our build to the WrestleMania, because Seth Rollins already hates CM Punk. This is a known fact. Who's the one man that Seth Rollins maybe hates more than CM Punk? Roman Reigns. So he's seeing the guy he already doesn't like and has wanted to have a match with, but couldn't because Punk got hurt going into WrestleMania last year. I think this is the perfect motive and the perfect time to pull the trigger on a Seth Rollins heel turn, have him take out CM Punk, costing the OG Bloodline, and we finally get to the CM Punk Seth Rollins promo program that we have been waiting for so long. Give me the new Bloodline due to Seth Rollins.
I actually agree with that. I will be taking the new Bloodline here. Gives them some more momentum going into this WrestleMania season, because I feel like if they lose this, it's kind of like, all right, where do they go from here? Especially considering Roman and Cody beat them at Bad Blood. I do think there will be an interference, and I think that will come from Seth. And let me just give myself a pat on the back real quick, by the way. Last week I said, I didn't say CM Punk would be in this match, but I said he should be in this match, and here he is. And I think it makes perfect sense going along with this build, given everything that happened in the summer with Paul Heyman. And that's honestly kind of my favorite part about this build, the entire Wise Man situation around it, and kind of the questions that we have now about, okay, Roman left him to die, basically, with this new Bloodline. So what's next? Is he going to go with CM Punk? Is he going to reunite with Roman? Braun Breaker, potentially? It's interesting, but in terms of the match as a whole, I feel like you kind of have to give the new Bloodline this one. Roman's got a lot of momentum. Punk's got a lot of momentum. I feel like Seth does interfere in this. He turns heel. And then maybe we get The Rock at the very end of the match. I think one of the two will surely happen. I'm not sure exactly which it'll be, but I'm going to trust my gut, say Seth Rollins turns heel. We don't get The Rock till the first Raw of the year, which will be on Netflix, obviously, and the new Bloodline wins this match.
I would love to see Seth Rollins come out and finally turn heel once again, but I'm going to be the lone wolf here. I'm going to go the opposite direction, and I'm going to take the OG Bloodline in this match. I mean, CM Punk's been gone for a while, ever since he fought against Drew McIntyre, and I think he wins his return match here. I mean, the last pay-per-view they had, we saw OG Bloodline versus the new Bloodline, and Roman ate a pin clean. Just solo pinned him. It happened, and the OG Bloodline lost. I don't see them having Roman lose back-to-back and have the OG Bloodline lose again to this new Bloodline, no matter the situation. I see a way where Roman just enters God mode, takes them out. CM Punk is the best in the world, and Jey Uso's been a main event player. I see the OG Bloodline winning this because we've seen them in War Games before. They were great. They had a great moment there, and I think Bloodline or War Games is kind of just their thing, and I think that they continue to be great in it and win this match. Now, the other War Games match is the women's War Game match, of course, with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, Naomi, Io Sky, and
Bayley.
It's officially Bayley.
Bayley.
And Bayley versus Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Tiffany Stratton, and Candice LeRae. Originally, it was supposed to be Jade Cargill, but, of course, last week, Jade Cargill was attacked in a backstage segment and now can't compete. So now she has been replaced with Bayley. Who do we have winning?
I think that that Reyes team is going to be victorious at the end of Survivor Series. But that is interesting that you say Bayley was coming back. we were talking a little bit before the show that it could be Charlotte Flair, which I think would have been very interesting with Miss Jax on the other squad. But I still think that Rhea Ripley and her team is going to get it done, and Liv Morgan is going to see a loss for the first time in a while, and I think that's just going to build up that story and build up that feud between Rhea and Liv Morgan, which has already been one of the most entertaining stories in the women's division for sure. But I'm excited for this War Games match, and as I was saying earlier, like there's so much like talent and potential different storylines in both War Games matches that you could tell that it does make sense that there is only 3 as of now, because they can go in many different directions. But yeah, Rhea on top.
I'm taking the baby faces in this one, but we talked about how this card only has 3 matches. Surprise, enter a 4th match. I think Tiffany Stratton, this is the moment where she pulls the trigger and she cashes in. I don't know if it'll be after the match or before War Games becomes official or during War Games. I think they have a lot of creative freedom with how they can do this, but I think this is the moment where Tiffany Stratton sees her opportunity. Nia Jax is obviously the biggest woman in the match. I could see everyone teaming up to take her down, and then Tiffany realizes, sparkles go off in her eyes. She's down. She's out. I don't care about this team anymore. Let me pin Nia and gain myself my first championship.
I was going to say that exact same thing with my prediction. I'm taking the baby faces. I mean, you have an absolute star, basically face of the women's division with Bianca Belair and also Rhea Ripley. I don't see them eating a loss here at Survivor Series, but I do think that they somehow, some way, pin Nia Jax, just do something, or not even pin her, but do some sort of crazy spot that takes her down. The match ends. Cages come up, and Tiffy is like, oh my God, this is the chance. And she cashes in, and it's officially Tiffy time, I think it's a perfect scenario. I think, obviously, she can't do it on Liv. Raquel Rodriguez will be there, being the bodyguard. So I think the only logical thing is for her to do it on Nia Jax and become the champion finally.
I agree. I will also be taking the faces here. Now, the whole cash-in thing is interesting because we kind of got a little tease of Damian Priest doing that last year before Randy Orton returned. And when I saw that, I kind of started to think, okay, what if this actually happens in a War Games match before the match is actually over? Because, again, there's a lot of creative freedom and a lot of different ways you could sort of go about that. And although I'm a little bit uncertain on how the cash-in will happen, I think Survivor Series kind of seems like a prime time to do that, because then you have months on months to build Tiffany as a champion going into WrestleMania. And I think they've already done a pretty phenomenal job at building up kind of this tension between her and Nia. And I think you could take that one step further in this match. Do I think she'll cash in? I'm not fully sure. Knowing WWE at this point, I think they'll give us an even larger tease, potentially at some point in the middle of the match. Nia gets knocked down. Tiffany has the briefcase in her hand. She considers it, but then she gets knocked down by, Rhea, Bianca, because at the end of the day, there's just so many people in this match, and I feel like it might not make sense if it happens here, just given kind of the magnitude. You're going up against 5 people. If you're distracted there, why wouldn't you go attack them? So I think what actually happens is Tiffany considers cashing in, gets distracted by the fact that, okay, I could become champion right now, and then one of Rhea, Bianca, Naomi, Bayley, whoever, someone takes her out, and Tiffany costs her team the match, and that will kind of be like the final straw before the cash-in. But I do love the cash-in idea, and again, there's a lot of different creative ways to go about that. But regardless of if she cashes in or not, I think that'll be kind of the turning point in this match.
Now, I want to pose a question here. Obviously, Jade Cargill was taken out of the match due to a backstage attack. Do you think we have a Triple H on Shawn Michaels from 2002 type situation on our hands? And do we think Bianca Belair has already turned heel without us officially knowing yet?
Yes, I do. I think 100% Bianca Belair was the one to attack Jade Cargill. I just don't see who else it really would have been that would develop any sort of real story. And I think obviously they want to do Jade versus Bianca, so they did it this way. Get Jade out of the picture for a little while. Then when she returns, she's like, "Oh, I found some evidence, like they always do." And then it becomes an official Bianca heel turn there, which will set us up for the road towards WrestleMania and just like these two mega powers clashing with each other. But yeah, I absolutely think Bianca's the one that did it.
All right, are you guys taking the Io Sky anytime jump off a cage with a trash can on her head prop bet
Yes.
for this one?
I'm taking the over.
100%.
Yeah.
Over
She has
half.
done it in every War Games match she has ever competed in.
Yeah, I mean, it's just her thing at this point. So if she doesn't do it, I'll be very disappointed in Triple H. It's like the streak
Yeah.
at this point. Like, you got to keep it alive. You have to let her do it. It's her spot.
It's like Kofi in the Royal Rumble.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, you have to get that one in there. All right, and then the last official match for War Games is the World Heavyweight Championship match between challenger and former champion Damian Priest and the current defending World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. This is going to be a great match, I think. I mean, obviously, we saw this one at SummerSlam, and it was a fantastic match, but then, of course, Finn Balor interfered and kind of broke up Judgment Day, kicked Priest out. But I think this one is just going to be them straight up one-on-one. I don't really see the need for a run in here. I say just let us have the good match, but I still think Gunther wins it. I mean, obviously, you're not taking the title off of Gunther, but I do think it'll be a fantastic match that ends clean this time, and Gunther takes it.
I agree. I hope there is no interference from anyone, Judgment Day or anyone else. I hope it's a clean match, but I have a little post-match prediction. It's something we've alluded to on this show before. I think we'll get a Goldberg appearance after the match, a face-to-face with Gunther, because WWE is going on NBC, one of the biggest stations in the world for the first time in years, and what better way to get casual audiences to tune in than having Goldberg have one final go at winning a championship against Gunther. In New York, I think we'll get Gunther versus Goldberg on Saturday night's main event. I don't know if it'll be his official retirement match, but I expect a Goldberg. I expect that music to hit after Gunther's post-match celebration.
I definitely agree with you. We've been here before. We've seen Gunther. We've seen Priest. As excited as I am to just to see them beat each other up, I don't know how much new things they can show us with the feud. So I think this will be like the first match of the card. We'll do the Goldberg and Gunther face off. They may talk to each other for a bit, cut some promos, but yeah, I agree with that statement of Goldberg coming out and starting that feud as picking it back up from, was that
Bad Blood?
Bad Blood, yes, that's right. Yeah, but I do think Gunther wins this easily.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think this will be, call me crazy, potentially a late match of the year candidate, because their match at SummerSlam was so good. I said it last week, and I don't know if I'm fully remembering correctly because I haven't watched SummerSlam in a while, but that was personally my favorite in-ring match of SummerSlam, and I think that will definitely, I think at this point now that they have in-ring chemistry also, their styles kind of mesh very well. I think this could top that, honestly, and we've seen Gunther kind of work well with these smaller, high-flying guys, and Priest is kind of just that, except he's tall, he's big, and he has kind of this speed and high-flying ability to him that not many big men have. So I think this could be one of the best matches we've seen all year, but at the end of the day, I do think Gunther gets it done. I think they're kind of just, this is another resume-building win for him going into Royal Rumble season, WrestleMania. I don't think at this point, unless you want to put the title on Seth or Punk for their WrestleMania feud, I don't think Gunther loses this title anytime soon. And this is just another match that kind of solidifies him as one of, if not the top heel in the entire company going into Mania. And I think there's one guy who could perfectly fit into this Gunther storyline going into Mania that I'm excited to see them build to, and that's potentially John Cena. I think that's you kind of have a perfect storyline on a silver platter here, and I'm sure we will see that Goldberg match one way or another before WrestleMania, but I think the end goal is definitely Gunther versus John Cena. Cena on his chase for the 17th title, and I think him beating a guy like Damian Priest, who's already kind of proven himself, is definitely another win that kind of catapults him into that range.
I like the take about John Cena coming back for Gunther, but can Cena win the World Heavyweight Championship to break the record? Like, I feel like his belt is the WWE Championship. I feel like that's the belt he needs to win to break the record.
I don't necessarily disagree, just with the state of the title right now. When will that happen and where will that happen?
Yeah,
I'm not
I get
sure.
that.
Now, I do hope, part of me selfishly wants Kevin Owens to win the title, but I don't think that will happen. But hypothetically, if you do have KO or Randy, a heel Randy win that title, then you kind of have the silver lining to do that. Or you just have Gunther beat Cena at WrestleMania, make the chase a little bit harder for him, and then have him inevitably win it at some point at the end of the year. Also because I feel like on this retirement tour, I feel like John Cena would be the type of person who would say, okay, if you're going to give me the title for 6 months, I don't really want that. You have other guys to build up. Just build up my storyline to get to that title, and then eventually I do win it. I relinquish it whenever I do retire, and that's it. I could see a world where Gunther beats Cena, Randy Orton at the end of 2025 is champion, and that's Cena's last match. He wins the title, drops it, and then he's gone.
Yeah, well, we still have quite a ways before Cena shows back up. Oh, hang on, Luke.
No, go ahead. I thought you were going to say we still have a lot of time left, so I have something fun to talk about.
Okay. We have a while before that Cena storyline can develop, so for now, that will be the rest of our predictions. We all picked all the same people, except for me choosing the OG bloodline over the new bloodline.
I didn't take the faces in the women's match.
He took the heels in the women's.
Oh,
one.
never mind. Those are the two differences we have here. All right, Luke, what are we bringing up right now?
So,
oh boy,
there's for a long time been teases of, will Cody Rhodes ever start to go insane and really tap into the Homelander Cody? Did you guys see the segment on SmackDown this week where he had the backstage altercation with Carmelo Hayes, where he was walking in the hallway and he turned around and kind of snapped on Carmelo Hayes and he shoved him?
I did not.
Today on Twitter, I saw a side-by-side of that backstage promo in a scene from the show in The Boys.
Which scene was it?
It's where Homelander is walking down the hallway and A-Train says something to him.
It's when he has the
Oh,
shake.
the milk shake.
He goes,
Yeah.
he turns around and he shoves A-Train. Frame by frame,
Fat shames him.
the two scenes, without audio, look identical.
They know what they're doing.
And I think that is our first
let's go.
seed planted at a Cody Rhodes heel turn. I don't think we're going to see it until post-WrestleMania 41. But the fact that they're starting to build it long-term storytelling, ooh, I love it. I got so excited when I saw that today.
I love that too, and I didn't even think about it like that because I just thought that was kind of like, okay, Kevin Owens just kind of called me out for everything that I've done wrong, so I'm just going to get pissed off at Carmelo Hayes backstage for talking bad about me. But now that I think of it, that is kind of a Homelander thing to do, and especially when you're now feuding with a guy who was considered one of your best friends, closest allies, and eventually Randy Orton will be in that same spot. I think post-WrestleMania is kind of the perfect time for him to have his breaking point after Randy and Kevin have both moved on from him. So I'm glad that we're getting there because a heel Cody could feed families.
Yeah, I mean, they've kind of been hinting at it. Well, not entirely hinting, but on Raw one day, Cody just straight up said, "I'll go full Homelander on you." I forget who it was to, but he didn't say that too long ago. So that, now this, and when the Boys' new season came out, he was doing ads for the Boys, basically as the Homelander. So, I mean, that will be awesome eventually when it does happen. And now, one last thing to touch on before we end today's episode. Monday Night Raw tonight, we have a match between Nia Jax and Bianca Belair to decide who gets the advantage in the Women's War Game match. We also have the New Day versus Alpha Academy. And we have a Braun Breaker versus Ludwig Kaiser match, just one-on-one for no title after the run-in from Ludwig last week during the Breakker vs. Sheamus IC title match, which I think hopefully could set up something like we were saying earlier for the Survivor Series show for the IC title if we wanted to add one last match onto that card. And lastly, we have Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus American Made in a tornado tag team match, which we haven't seen in a little while. So that should be an interesting Raw tonight.
Yeah, before we go, I want to say I think the match to watch tonight is the New Day versus the Alpha Academy match, because next week's Monday Night Raw is scheduled to be New Day's 10-year celebration, and it's rumored that Big E will be at Monday Night Raw next week. So we'll go more in depth for that whole segment that we're going to see next week, but some seeds could be planted tonight for what's going to happen next Monday.
Anyone last thoughts
Yes.
on tonight?
We didn't talk about the biggest wrestling news of the week.
Oh, yes.
The Rizzler.
The Rizzler
on
was on
AEW.
AEW. Big Boom AJ won with a broken foot. With a broken
freaking foot.
Big Justice came in there, speared the man in half. It was honestly a great spear.
Yeah.
And then the Rizzler,
They're
it's his
taking over the
world.
wrestling
Everyone's
business.
just living in it.
They might be the new Shield.
They might be. And that will be it for today's episode. Everyone, tune in again next week to see how our predictions did. And then, of course, the breakdown of the New Day 10-year anniversary segment on Raw. Thank you all. Tune in again next week.